Triumph or Tragedy, a Tract for the Times. Written and read by David H. J. Gay. Note to the reader. I wanted to write a book on the fall of the Church, or more precisely, its consequences. By the fall of the Church, I mean the way in which the original purity of the ekklēsia was ruined in the 4th century by Constantine in league with the Fathers, when between them they invented Christendom. That's what I wanted to write about, but as I say, not simply to set out the historical fact. I wanted to write about the way this fall affects us today. But as I started to write, I soon became convinced that, despite the measure of truth which there is within the phrase, the fall of the Church, this fall is in fact a myth. And it's a myth which had been staring me in the face all the time. The ekklēsia did not retain its purity until the 4th century, and then, as it were in one calamitous step, plunge over the cliff, fall into ruin, virtually from the word go, right from the time of the apostles. The ekklēsia was marred by man, and it has never recovered. That has become my conviction. This marring by man I see written large in Scripture and played out in the subsequent history of the Church. This does not mean that I no longer think that the Fathers and Constantine did immense harm to the ekklēsia and the gospel by setting up Christendom, the fall of the Church, if you will. But I now see Christendom as but one of many downward steps, the worst of the lot indeed, into the present ruinous state of the ekklēsia. Later centuries, including the 20th and our own, have continued the plunging spiral. From time to time, steps have been taken to try to rectify the position, but the decline continues. Many disagree with me. They believe that the history of the Church is a triumphant epic, even down to our own day. Others, an increasing number it seems to me, who, thinking that the present state of the Church leaves a great deal to be desired, nevertheless claim that Scripture warns us to expect a restitution or restoration of something like a golden time for the ekklēsia. Indeed, they have called upon a prophetical system, postmillennialism, to argue, with what at times seems like unbounded confidence, for a triumphant, glorious time for the ekklēsia before Christ returns. And, as far as I understand it, this coming golden age, in their opinion, will knock the apostolic time into a cocked hat. They anticipate an overwhelming revival, with a great number of Jews being converted, leading to a massive awakening among Gentiles. Under this scheme, the 3,000 of Pentecost, soon swelling by another 2,000, will be seen as a mere pinprick. The coming revival will be worldwide. While I am convinced that believers should always be striving to reform themselves individually and the ekklēsia corporately with the aim of recovering Christ's new covenant pattern revealed in the post-Pentecost Scriptures, however far beyond reach that excellent aim might be in this fallen world, I vehemently discount any expectation of a triumphant spiritual kingdom before Christ returns. Does this mean there is no hope? Far from it. Triumph, the triumphant fulfillment of God's eternal purpose, is certain. All this I see in Scripture. And that's the background to my book. One other point. This book, the one that you are now in danger of listening to being read by me, was not written by an academic having a scholarly debate with other academics. No, it was written by an everyday sort of believer who was trying to set out what he sees in Scripture, doing so in a way that might help other everyday believers come to terms with a difficult but unavoidable topic.